And I said that all women who have to work are naturally going to have a slight chip on their shoulder by default.
You think it's all? Like all
Single,
is a
every
strong
single
word.
one. Yes, every single one
Single one.
that wants to be married and living the right life has a chip on her shoulder.
By right life, you mean a traditional
life
marriage
that
where a man is working and she's at home under the leadership and, dare I say, control.
Dare I say submission?
Yeah. Controlling. Well, submission is a lot of control and submission. So, are you saying that women really want to be
submission, but they don't know how to get what they have to do to get that submission? But yes, the men who are bossed enough to step up and take that position of leading those women, yes, they would get everything that comes along with it. All of those women,
don't buy that
circle of women,
because we have a name in our culture for men who get submission from women, but don't do none of the stuff that it takes to get submission from women. They're called hobosexuals. So I don't think women need to say, "Well, the men who know how to boss up." They don't get submission.
That's a lie.
If
they wouldn't have the women dogging them, being irritated, watching them lay on the couch while they go to work, having a chip on their shoulder. That's not submission.
If those men get to eat, sleep, shit, and fuck in a house that they don't pay bills at, submission. It's a pseudo submission.
No, it's taking advantage of a woman who's letting you get away with too much. Those men would have zero to complain with. But what do you always complain about? You will hear that the woman's bitter. She's walking around slamming dishes because it's just everything's off balance. It never will feel right.
Do you think only dish slamming, bitter, angry women are women who have hobosexuals? And is it a certain? I mean, I can speak from experience.
No, that you can pay 100. False promises. He starts to be evident that he was lying, and so the chip grows as you feel further and further out of balance of what you thought it could grow into. And it usually comes with a woman settling and giving a guy a chance when he's not ready to be her man.
Okay, so are you saying that there's practically a one size fits all? If a man meets a certain threshold, that woman will instantly not be stressed out, not be bothered, not be the stereotypical ABW angry black woman, or hell, angry white woman, because they be bitching too. Are you saying that once a man meets a certain threshold, all of that disappears? Because I can speak from my personal experience as being a man who was married and paying 100% of the bills, and she still was out of pocket, not acting right. Me working 7 days a week to make sure I could pay 100% of the bills and the business bills for the business she was running that wasn't making no money. She still was clowning. So I think it comes down, like I said, and
you asked me a question, and then you went on to start saying what you think.
Yeah. I was at God damn it, I can do that. Okay. Yeah. So.
Well, that's your fault for picking a woman who wasn't in the role ready to go into the contract, submitting to the leadership. So I said we're talking about a circle of women who know the deal, mm-hmm. and who are on the other side of the deal and would rather be on that side of the deal. Now, just because you made a mistake with one doesn't mean all those women shouldn't try it, because they don't know. They haven't been married yet. But they're in the mind frame of that's where they would rather be for when they're understanding. So there's not all of them, but those in that circle who understand the trade-offs is what I'm talking about. So since you picked one who wasn't willing to take that trade-off, mm-hmm. all those other women shouldn't have a desire.
No, I didn't say nobody should or should not have a desire.
You're saying I think. And I think that situation is personal and don't apply to everyone else. We're talking about two people who both are going into it with the same standards.
Okay.
Vetting,
mm-hmm.
like knowing who you're marrying.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So don't tell me what you think about yours when that wasn't the case. We're talking about this.
Okay, now here's the problem with that. When you said the one good point you said in there is two people from the start vetting and understanding exactly what's expected. That's one thing, and that's great. And I think people don't do that. I think people do a lot of assuming. I was under the wild-eyed theory that, hey, if you just show up, you're a man, you work hard, what woman is going to reject love from a man that's working hard. I bought a house and got married at 19. I was, by, late 20s, I was able to pay 100% of the bills because, we was young and we both was working. And so I was like, okay, maybe that's why it's problematic. So let me do what I got to do to make sure that I can pay 100% of everything. And did nothing change. So I think it comes down to individuals and the individual choice. It's not, okay, what's happening here, and this happens a lot in these conversations, is women will try to
You didn't say nothing different than I did.
Hold on. I think women will try to spin the argument and make it seem like their ability to act right or not act right is completely contingent upon the man.
That's not part of this conversation.
No, it is. Let me explain how, because that's what I heard from you is that as a man, if you're dominant, she'll be submissive.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't, but okay. Well, let me just explain what I be saying to other women. Just chill. This one ain't about you. A lot of women come to these conversations and they saying things along the lines of, hey, if you're dominant, she'll be submissive. If you're masculine, she'll be feminine. If you treat her like a king, treat her like a queen, she'll treat you like a king. It's almost like your femininity and ability to just be a decent, agreeable person in a relationship is all contingent upon what the man is doing. What I would argue is that no, there are some women, some individual women who are decent human beings who conduct themselves in a way that's conducive for a healthy, flourishing relationship. And there are some that don't. Those that don't, it doesn't matter what the man is doing. They're going to be who they are, because who you are is a combination of your character. Your character is a combination of your upbringing and your genetics, a combination of your nature and your nurture. And just like it's some men who are bad people, who are abusive, controlling jackasses, and it's nothing that woman could do to make that man be not who he is, I do believe that there's nothing that a man can do to make that woman, given the environment she grew up in, that mixed with her genetics, that mixed with just overall in general who she is, I don't think there's nothing a man could do. Because we've seen professional athletes who are at the epitome of masculinity and dominance and making money and all of this and all of that. They've had wives who fucked their teammates like that. So I don't buy the idea that you can do something as a man that's going to make the woman act right. So that's where I said the part where you got it right is when you said, if you pick and choose that woman right from the start, and she's picking and choosing right, and y'all clearly on the same page, and y'all know exactly what each other want, then y'all can do that, and then y'all can make it happen. The one more other thing that I want to throw out there, and I'm going to throw it back to you because I've been rambling here. The other thing is, given the current climate, it's a fair question to ask how many women, that type of traditional role that you're talking about, how many of them are truly willing to make that sacrifice and say that, yes, I'm going to be under the submission and leadership of this man. And yes, this man, I'm an average woman. I probably will be with an average man who makes average money. And how many of them, because the average person makes about, $50K, $55K, something, somewhere in that range. How many women are truly okay with being with Mr. Average or slightly above average and being with him? You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have left, but the alternative is you got a family, you got kids, you got a committed man with you, and y'all are working together, building a family. And this, we know it was a generation of women who didn't like that deal. So in this modern time, the offspring of those generations of women that didn't like that deal, how many of them truly actually want that?
Some of them.
Some of them, yes.
I already told you. All of the ones I'm talking about in that circle.
Okay, yeah, but if that was ones that you're talking about is a smaller percentage, how much weight does that point carry?
It point carries zero weight if men are in the business of taking them as wives. Really.
Okay. I can give you that because it's a lot of men who don't necessarily want to be married, and that's where the problem comes. That's where the problem, as I said, there's a lot of men who don't want to be married. Maybe later in life they do, or if they get to the point they're a decent guy with their head on straight and they want kids, want to leave a legacy. Then they want to get married then because you just don't want to get some chick pregnant. But I do see.
I beg to differ.
Oh no, I said.
Stats show yes, the majority of men do want to just get some chick pregnant.
What stats show that the majority of men want to get some chick pregnant?
The stats of single motherhood show that there's a large percentage of men who do just want to get a chick pregnant.
Not quite. Those I don't buy that for a number of reasons. Like looking at black men, 50% of black men don't have kids, and something like 30% are married. So you're talking about a 20% pool of men who are making kids out of wedlock. Granted, you got graded on the curve because some of the married men had kids out of wedlock before they got married. So I will add some to that. But of that 20% that got kids out of wedlock, I'm willing to say 10% are probably good dads doing a good job co-parenting. It's probably the bottom 10% that ain't shit running around recklessly serial impregnating women. That's probably
maybes. Probablys and maybes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean,
we'll go by your probablys.
That bottom 20%. That bottom 20%. That bottom 20%. We don't know. We don't. It's hard to measure. It's hard to measure that 20% and how many of them.
Like you know. Then.
No, I talked about the stats that I did know. Once I made it to a part where we don't have data on that 20%, we can we can sort of look at okay, of that 20%, how many have child support, how many have visitation, how many are living together but not married but still on paper is just a single mother, children out of wedlock. We can look at that and come up with it's probably 10% that ain't shit. They're just out there reckless. So I don't think you can say the majority of men are just recklessly just trying to put babies in women. But I was talking about ones who got their head on straight, and there are some that don't got their head on straight, and those ones run rampant and cause a lot of harm and cause a lot of problems. And they I don't. There's some people in the black manosphere who will cape for those guys and say and blame the women and say something like, well, these women, they trying to keep men from their kids, or they trying to do this, or they making it hard for them, or they going down to the court and getting the white man all involved. I'm like, nah, but at the end of the day, a man do got to roll up his sleeves and take care of his damn kids come hell or high water. And so in that area, I will agree, those reckless cats out there, they get no love, no cape, no sympathy from me. You got kids, you got to put on your big boy pants. End of.